بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. اللهم لا سهل إلا ما جعلته سهلا وأنت تجعل الحزن إذا شئت سهلا. Inshallah, today we'll be speaking about the issues of the women. I called it cosmetics, but we are going to speak about lots of other stuff apart from the cosmetics, like the hijab, the jilbab, the clothing, the hairstyle, everything related to the women in their accessories as well. Allah Azza wa Jal said, O children of Adam, take your adornment at every masjid and eat and drink, but be not excessive. Indeed, He likes not those who commit excess. That's to say that adornments, beautifying oneself, whether a man or a woman, is from the fitrah. And Allah Azza wa Jal said for the person to beautify himself, whether he is a man or he is a woman, and the women are most likely to beautify themselves, and that's from their fitrah. So in general, beautifying herself for women is permissible in Islam, and there is nothing to say that women should not beautify themselves. Of course, every rule has some exemptions, so here we need to exclude whatever can cause fitna. So if a woman knows that if she beautifies herself in a way that will cause fitna to men, then that beautifying should not be acceptable. Some scholars say that if the woman did not beautify herself during prayer, then that's incompleteness of her prayer actually. And that's not only for the women, but for the women and the men, because the verse of the Quran clearly states to take your adornment at every masjid. So beautifying oneself for men and women is something that is asked by Islam. So for the woman, she should beautify herself, but under conditions. What are these conditions? Number one, no harm. Meaning that if she is using some material that will harm her skin, harm anything in her body, then that's not. Number two, it's not waste. If she's going to waste time, it's too expensive. To waste money, it's too expensive, then no. Number three, no imitating of opposite gender. She's beautifying, or he is beautifying himself to appear like a woman, or a woman beautifying herself to appear like a man, then that's not acceptable in Islam. No causes of sadness for poor people because they don't have means to have some beauty. Like for example, we have some people in the community, a woman buys some expensive stuff, beautify herself, in front of them they see, they know that it is very expensive, they cannot afford, that's harming the feeling of the poor people, then that is not acceptable. No imitating of non-Muslims. If the non-Muslims have a special way of beautifying themselves, then that should not be. No change of the creation of Allah, beautifying oneself without changing the creation of Allah, meaning without changing it permanently. So if it's a temporary, like putting an eyelash or whatever, mascara or something like this, this can be removed. This is not permanently, then this is acceptable in Islam, and we are going to speak about that. So we'll speak about the hijab, the clothes, the makeup, the hair, the body, and everything related to these things. So let's start with the hijab. And Allah Azza wa Jal said in the Quran, explanation of the verse, and not expose their adornment except that which necessarily appears thereof. This is in the Quran, a verse that the scholars started differing on what's the meaning of that, except that which necessarily by natural appear from them. So some of the scholars said what it is meaning is the face and the hand. So at that time, naturally, the women, they used to have the the mascara, which is the natural mascara, and they used to put some henna on their hands, and they used to put some rings or for some bracelets and so on, and these by nature they will appear. So some of the scholars, they said that is what is meant by the verse, what normally appears from the woman. So to put the mascara and the henna on the hand, and that's the opinion of lots of scholars. Other scholars said no, what appeared is in the clothing. So the clothes, usually people will buy some beautiful clothes, they will have some beauty in them. That is acceptable in Islam. So these are the two opinions to explain what's meant by that, except what normally appears from women. So the opinion that says it's in the clothing, so the woman can have, for example, a jilbab with some design, with some decoration, with whatever, or a headscarf with some decoration, then that's acceptable according to the second opinion. For those who believe that it's not about the clothing, then the clothing need to be modest, and they can actually put a mascara or put some small amount of makeup, but that's what appears from the women in normal. And we will speak about the makeup inshallah in some details. Clothes in its own is adornment, and we are different than animals. Allah Azza wa Jal has given us this, so they are actually adornment. Covering the body has many reasons. Allah Azza wa Jal ordered us to cover our body to protect the body from harmful sun rays, for example, protect from hot and cold weather, protect from wind, protect from eyes of people, and so on. All of these are reasons why we wear our clothing on our bodies. Allah Azza wa Jal ordered us to cover our body in two types: what is required to cover in all time, and what is required to cover during the prayer. The awrah is of two types based on that: awrah of the vision and awrah of the prayer. Allah Azza wa Jal said, and tell the believing women to reduce some of their vision and guard their private parts and not expose their adornment except that which necessarily appear thereof. This is what we have said before. So in this, Allah Azza wa Jal gave the women two orders. What is order number one in the verse? Reduce some of their vision. What is order number two? Guard the private part. And then there is one prohibition, which is not expose their adornment except what appeared from them. So, what is more flexible, the order or the prohibition? Prohibition. Why? If I say to you, sit here, can you sit there? No. So when the order comes, you need to implement the order. But if I say to you, don't sit here, you can sit anywhere. Even you can stand. So that's why the scholars, they say that the prohibition has more flexibility than the order, because the order will direct you to what to do. And what Allah Azza wa Jal did in this verse, He prohibited to expose the beauty except what appeared from it in nature. So what is the meaning of except that which necessarily appears thereof? One opinion, as we said, it is face and hands adornment, meaning they can show the eyeliner. Is it the eyeliner or the mascara? The eyeliner, yeah? The eyeliner. Sorry, you are like me, not experiencing this. So the eyeliner and the henna in the hands and gold being worn. And this is the opinion number one of the meaning of what beauty can be exposed, which is norm of the people. Another opinion is whatever appeared in the clothes, and with this means they need to cover their, or to have their faces either covered or without any makeups. Feet are awrah, according to the majority of the scholars, but it's not awrah according to Imam Abu Hanifa, as we mentioned in our previous fiqh classes. The covering of the face of the woman is not an order from Allah Azza wa Jal, so it's not something that if a woman says that I am putting the khimar because this is what I believe the way the dress of the woman should be, then that's not acceptable in Islam. If she's putting it out of increasing of her modesty, then that's acceptable in Islam. Because putting the khimar or covering the face is something that is not agreed upon the scholars and cannot be concluded from the verses of the Quran that direct the women to cover themselves. So no one can conclude that the khimar is something that is a fard, but it's an increase in the modesty and the cover of the woman. Islam did not order the woman to wear anything special. And there is nothing to say that what she needs to be wearing, but need to be according to some conditions. What can she wear? Nothing to see through. That's one condition. Nothing that shapes the aura or other parts of the body. Not from a different religion type of wear. Like for example, the nuns. They have a different type or special type of wear. She cannot wear like that. The Jews or whatever, she cannot wear them. Not from men specialized clothing. So we have women specialized clothing, men specialized clothing. So women cannot wear men's specialized clothing. No waist or show off. If we avoid all of this, then women can wear whatever they want. Okay? So the jilbab is one of these that can meet all these requirements. And the hijab is as well meeting these requirements. That's why you find the majority of people wearing these types of hijab and jilbab, because they meet all the requirements. It's not required to be black, as there is no evidence for that. It can be any color. And what is the best color? It's white. But you know, nowadays, white is going to be really easily get dirty. Salama narrated when the verse, O Prophet, tell your wives and your daughters and the women of the believers to bring down over themselves part of their outer garments that is more suitable, that they will be known and not be abused, and ever is Allah forgiving and merciful. She said, they left their houses like crows. The women of the Muslims, what does it mean? Meaning that they put all the garments on themselves when that verse was revealed. Because when that verse was revealed was the beginning of the obligatory or the obligation of hijab. Before that, hijab was not obligation, and that's when this verse was revealed. Colors and black are all considered adornment for hijab. So whether the hijab is black or white or whatever, or colored, they are all adornment. They are all beautiful. So they are considered as beauty auxiliary. Wives of the Prophet ﷺ wore yellow and red clothes. And it has been narrated that they wore these clothes. The best color is the white for both males and females, as the Prophet ﷺ said, best of your clothes is the white. But nowadays, who women can wear white and go in the street with white? It's not, it's something related to the culture nowadays, and people are not accepting it. Those who are with the opinion that the verse refers to the clothes, they say hijab can be any color. So if you are with the opinion that what Allah Azza wa Jal mentioned in the verse, that the beauty that can appear from the woman is the clothes, they can wear any color, because they are following that opinion, that the beauty that is accepted is the clothes. But can they put makeup and as well wear beautiful clothes? Because the other opinion is referring to what in regards to acceptable from the norm of beauty, what's in the face and what's in the hands, not in the clothes. So these are the two opinions of the explanation. We cannot come and put them together and say, okay, then you can show the beauty of the face and the beauty of the clothes. because that's combining two, which is not being understood from the verse of the Quran. So what has been understood from the verse of the Quran is one of these two opinions, and the scholars are almost equal with these two opinions, whether it's the beauty of the face and the hands or the beauty of the clothes. Zainab Thaqafiyya reported, the Messenger of Allah ﷺ said, when any one of you women participates in Isha prayer, she should not perfume herself that night. And that's what we spoke about this before, that women cannot put perfume and go outside in the street so that people can smell her perfume. As the Prophet ﷺ said before, in the verse before, or in the hadith that we mentioned before, that she will be considered like an adulterer. So the women should be careful of putting any perfume when they leave the house, so people should not smell her perfume. Abaya is not required for women, but anything that fulfills the conditions that we mentioned before is accepted. For the verse, cover themselves with their jilbab, means cover the place of the chest where the jewels usually appear. Allah Azza wa Jal said, وَلْيُدْنِينَ بِخُمُرِهِنَّ عَلَى جُيُوبِهِنَّ. They should cover their jiyub. Jayb is this part of the woman, and that's where the necklaces appear. Allah Azza wa Jal mentioned that they need to bring the khimar and cover this part of their chest, so this part is always covered. And we will speak about the hijab and how the hijab should be as well. Abaya on the shoulder is permissible. Some women put some abayas on their shoulder, that's permissible. Women can wear pants if they are according to the conditions mentioned. Meaning that they can wear pants, but they need to be what? White. Because the shape of the leg should not appear. So any clothing where the shape of any part of the body should not appear is fine. Like for example, even for the arm. It should not appear, like you cannot wear something for women that is really tight on the arm. It should be a little bit loose. So the arm shape does not actually appear. If pants are tied to the body, then it's not permissible in Islam. Women can wear shirts if they are white. So if woman wear shirt like this shirt, but it's really baggy, it's wide, nothing from the shape of the body is appearing, then this is acceptable in Islam. So the whole concept is that the woman cannot wear something that is see-through that can shape any of the body parts. Abaya that is tight from the sides are not permissible. Some abayas are tight from the rest of the woman. This is not permissible because this is shaping the body. Women can't wear shoes that make sound. As Allah Azza wa Jal said in the Quran, let them not hit the ground with their feet so people know what they hide from their adornment. So they should not actually, when they walk in the street, they should not make any sound in their feet, in their shoes, because this is prohibited directly in the Quran. According to the scholars, culture of each country has an effect on the interpretation of the verse except what normally appears. So some cultures, for example, it's a norm to appear some colorful hijabs with some colorful clothing. That's the culture of the country. Then that is acceptable in Islam according to that culture. If the norm is that the woman can uncover their faces and wear beautiful clothes, then no harm, because that's the norm in that country. If a woman wore abaya that starts from the head to the feet, there are some abayas where the woman will put the abaya here and it goes all the way as one piece to the feet. If that is out of modesty, then that's no harm. But to claim that this is the way of Islamic abaya, then that's not acceptable in Islam. So nobody can claim that what he is wearing is the only way acceptable in Islam for the clothing of women. But if it is meeting all the requirements as we said before, then that should be fine. Allah Azza wa Jal said, and tell the believing women to reduce some of their vision and guard their private parts. and not expose their adornment except that which necessarily appear thereof, and to wrap or portion of their head covers over their chests, and not expose their adornment except to. So who the women can expose their adornment to? So beauty or whatever accessories or whatever makeup, they should expose them to. Husbands, fathers, husbands' fathers, sons, husbands' sons, brothers, brothers' sons, their sisters' sons, their women, and that which their right hand possess, or those male attendants having no physical desire, or children who are not yet aware of the private aspects of women. So these are 12 categories that Allah Azza wa Jal gave permission to the women to show their beauty and their adornments and their accessories and their cosmetics too. Women who cover their faces and wear clothes that are completely modest should have the intention of modesty and can't claim that this is what meant by the verse. So the whole concept that we are saying here is nobody can claim that this is what the verse meant with the type of clothing. Clothes of women can't be tight in arms or legs or chest or anywhere. It should be loose. Women should cover ears and front ears and chin. So the women should cover with their hijab ears, front part of the ears, which is this area here. After that needs to be covered. So they cannot get their hijab all the way to the ear. They have to cover this part as well. And the chin as well needs to be covered. In Islam, ruling might change due to 5 things: maqasid, or the reasons behind, the person, state, time, and country. So some of these rulings, not the actual origin of the ruling, but like, for example, what is acceptable and what is not acceptable from the adornment of women can change from a country to a country. If you look, for example, at Saudi Arabia, what is acceptable there, Abdullah? What's the norm there? Just black abaya and black hijab. If you go to Malaysia, what is the norm there? All of these colors and colors and colors. So that's the norm in Malaysia, and Indonesia, that's the norm in Saudi Arabia. That norm is being followed and considered this is the norm that appears from women.
If you're going from that country to a place where they're not as colourful,
you should respect the culture
of the place you
go to. Because it's meant not to attract, and it's not to attract attention. And if the norm is this way and someone appears just with a different style of clothing, it will straight away attract the attention. That's why it should be that according to the norm in the country.
Another question, how do you cover that?
To here. So this part is acceptable. Here should be all of this part of the chin is covered, but this part is acceptable. So it's not to cover the whole chin from the top, because this is part of the face. What is the definition of face? The face is what you face people with. The women are not supposed to cover her face. So what she faces the people with is this, and appears part of this. This is what people can see. So normally when I look at you, what I can see is your face. Do you understand the point? So that needs to be covered. And apart from that, you cannot see this. So this needs to be covered.
So basically
the neck should be covered. All of this should be covered. It's only the face. As the Prophet ﷺ said, that the face should appear from the woman. Awra of woman over woman is from belly to knee, and the evidence is the action of the companions with the minimum they used to wear. And they applied this on the men. The men were actually wearing, the minimum they were wearing is from the belly to the knee, and so they applied this on the women as well. And so the awra from the women to the women, Muslim women of course, is from the belly to the knee. That's the minimum awra. But there is another awra, which is the awra of modesty. The awra of modesty is something else. That awra of modesty is almost all the body except what the normal clothing in the house she is wearing. So that's a different story. The woman or the women are awra is not a hadith. We spoke about this before. So people say women are awra. No, this is not a hadith from the Prophet ﷺ. It was reported that the Prophet ﷺ said, there are two types of the people of hell that I have not seen yet. Men with whips, like the tails of cattle, with which they strike the people, and women who are clothed yet naked, walking with an enticing gait, with something on their heads that looks like the humps of camels, leaning to one side. They will never enter paradise or even smell its fragrance, although its fragrance can be detected from such and such a distance. And we will speak about this hump and the hijab, the hump hijab. Explanation is women who wear see-through clothing. This is the explanation of the hadith that says women who are clothed yet naked. These are the women who are wearing see-through clothing that can be seen from underneath. Out of shyness, women should not uncover their arms or shoulders to mahram, but should avoid as well for women to uncover any of her arms or shoulders. So she should wear the normal clothing in the house with the women. See-through, is this the way we write see-through? Or see-through is T-H-R-O-W? T-H-R-O-W? No, this is the way. No, this is the way. See-through is the cloth that can show the color underneath it. So how do I define what is a see-through clothing? If you can see the color of the skin, then that's a see-through. Tight cloth is the one that show the shape of the body organs. Jeans pants should not be worn by women outside as they are shaping the body. If there are some jeans pants that are really baggy, which don't shape any of the part of the body, any of the legs, then that's fine. So if a woman is wearing like a baggy jeans and wearing a shirt that is baggy and it's coming until her knee, then that's fine, so long as none of the conditions being neglected. Pants or jeans are okay to be worn between women, and they are not men-specific clothes or religious clothes. So can women wear normal pants between each other? Yes, they can. Can't have clothes with photos on them of people or improper photos. So if a woman wearing a cloth that has, for example, a singer here or whatever, this is of course unacceptable in Islam. Clothes should not be from leather of pig or dog or wolves or tiger or lion or any of these. You know that we have lots of things that women sometimes wear from tiger leather or from tiger fur or whatever. This is unacceptable in Islam. It's prohibited to use any of these furs or leathers for wearing. And you cannot sit on it as well. So you cannot get a tiger fur and put it and make it as a chair and sit on it, because it has been prohibited in Islam. Okay, now coming to the leather. Can women wear any leather? There are 9 opinions in that, coming all the way from every leather is acceptable if it is being dyed. You know, the processing of the leather, all the way to you cannot use except the leather of cow or any of these leathers that been slaughtered properly Islamically. So the opinions of the scholars range from there to there. What you should avoid is, because the Prophet ﷺ said in the hadith that the cleanliness of the leather to dye it. So then scholars start differing. What does it mean? Cleanliness of any leather is to dye it. It's the leather. Which leather? Any leather. If this is the case, even the pig leather can be applied. That drove some scholars to say even the pig leather is acceptable. But others said, no, it's najasa. So you avoid the pig leather, avoid the dog leather, then any leather a part of that, then acceptable. Even if it's not slaughtered halal, yeah, because the Prophet ﷺ said, it will become clean even if it was najas, if you dye it. And this is the hadith. So what I am inclined towards is that any leather, apart from the dog and the pig leather, is clean if it is dyed, and they will not actually use for shoes, for bags, for anything leather or for belt, except if it is dyed. So all of these leathers that we use are clean, and there is no need to stress. Snake, crocodile, yeah, go ahead if you can catch one and use their leather. Makeup. Of course, according to that, is there any condition for the hijab style? Did we say anything about the hijab style? We said what need to be covered. So everything from the face except this part needs to be covered. Did we speak about the style? No. The style can be any style. Okay. Is there any condition for that? There is no hadith to say that there is a condition. So long as it's covering what it needs to be covered, and at the same time the shape of the body is not being shaped, then it's fulfilling. And so someone wants to wear a hijab that is just big enough to cover the body out of modesty, yes, that's they will take reward for that. But is this the only way to wear the hijab? No. Can be worn in different ways. But it's out of modesty. But the problem comes if the woman says this is the only Islamic way of hijab. If the woman says this is the Islamic way of hijab, then that's not acceptable in Islam. Because we have conditions. If the conditions being met, then any type of hijab or jilbab is acceptable. Makeup. Shaitan said, and this is a verse of the Quran, and I will mislead them, and I will arouse in them sinful desires, and I will command them so they will slit the ears of cattle, and I will command them so they will change the creation of Allah. So the key here we will speak about what? They will change the creation of Allah. Anything, any act changes the creation of Allah is haram. Alright? And we'll speak about this. The Prophet ﷺ said, Allah has cursed the females who get a tattoo, and the females who tattoo, the females that pluck their eyebrows, and the females who pluck them, the females who file their teeth for beauty, and the females who change the creation of Allah. Okay? Now let's speak about details. Whatever is permanent change of how person was created is prohibited, unless it is a health matter. That the doctor said she needs to go into an operation. For example, a woman had an accident, broke her nose. Obviously, she needs to go on operation to fix the nose. A woman was born with her nose, but she does not like it. It's, in a way, it's not pointy, or it's thick from here, or whatever. She does not like it, and she wants to do an operation to fix that. That's haram. Allah Azza wa Jal created us in a way, we should accept that way. So Shaitan said in the according to what Allah Azza wa Jal mentioned in the Quran, that and I will command them so they will change the creation of Allah. Any change that is permanent is the one that is prohibited. Any change that is not permanent is not prohibited. Okay? So that's the criteria. If a woman, for example, were born or had beard, of course this is an obligation for her to remove that, because this is not required to be or is not supposed to be there. In general, makeup is permissible. Okay? If from the type that can disappear fast. And all makeup are like this, correct? Okay. Then comes the question. If makeup is permissible, can women put on makeup and go on the street? Men are going to look at them. Are they allowed to look at them? The answer is no. It's haram to look at them. So, if you come to the ruling of Islam, makeup is permissible. And the evidence is that women, Muslim women, can put makeup in front of each other, correct? So then it's permissible. Can someone argue about that? No. Then women can put makeup. So what is the problem with the makeup? That men should not look at the women when they have makeup. That's the key problem with that. So, what does it mean for that? If a woman actually putting makeup and going outside, and with her intention, she wants actually men to look at her face, her makeup, that's why she is putting that makeup to attract the attention, then it is haram for both men and women. If she is putting a modest makeup, just simple, that is not attractive, that is just normal, it's not showing a big difference, and men looked at her face, then they will take sin, she will not. Did you understand this point? So makeup in general, the Islamic ruling of makeup is halal. It's permissible. The point of problem is what? That men look at the women when they have makeup. So they will be sinning when looking. And if her intention to make them look at her and attract them, then she is sinning. And that makeup should be put on in a way not really to be intended to attract. That's number one. Number two is, if the woman who knows that she is going to be looked at because she is wearing makeup, then she should not put that makeup when she goes out. She should avoid putting makeup, and she should always keep with the nature of the face. Salama narrated that they used to put some red material on their face for wrinkles. So they used to put some, here wrinkles, and this area when it goes dark under the eye. Salama narrated they used to put some red material on their face to remove this darkness from under the eyes and the wrinkles. If the makeup is preventing the water from the skin during wudu or ghusl, then it's not permissible except for special case during wedding. Sometimes the makeup amount that they put on the face is actually layer after a layer after a layer. So if the person is going to make wudu, the water is not going to go to the skin. So that makeup is not allowed, definitely, if the woman needs to go and make wudu. But if she's in a wedding, then she can do tayammum, in order not to destroy her makeup. We need her to pray. But this is a once a life case. For her, it's just once a life. So we should live for her actually to have fun, to enjoy her time. And if she needs to pray, of course, if she broke her wudu, because they will put the makeup in the morning and the wedding is in the evening, and definitely she will need to make wudu, and she cannot put water on her face, otherwise she will destroy her makeup. So the scholars said she can make tayammum, and that will be sufficient, and that's an excuse for her because it's just one event during her whole life. So it's not going to be repeated. Do you understand how Islam is tackling these incidents of the life? And really living with the feeling and the happiness of the people. It should not be something that we stress out a lot on. No, calm down, let them enjoy, let them have fun. The scholars did not leave anything for us except they answered the question. And almost all the scholars said that with the wedding, she can make the tayammum and she doesn't need to make any wudu. And that's because of the incidents of the wedding. Can a woman put colored lenses? Yes, because that's not permanent. That's temporary and you can remove them and it's not. Some people will say she will be faking people. But it's obvious when it's fake lenses, it's going to be just known that this is fake. Plucking the face hair, it's of two types. Some is haram, such as plucking the eyebrow, and some are obligation, like plucking the beard or a mustache that appears in the face of the wife or the woman. Any removal of the hair of the eyebrow using any way is not permissible. So some people they remove it with the shaving, some people they remove it with the laser, some people they will remove it by plucking. By any mean, it's not permissible to touch the eyebrow. Every hair in the body grows and changes except one, which is the eyebrow. You grow, you get old, you die, your eyebrow does not change. So Allah created the eyebrow in this manner. So the ruling is compatible with the creation of Allah, that the eyebrow should not be touched. The woman can remove the extra hair in the forehead and the edges. So the forehead, the edges, can remove all of this hair, but should not come close to the eyebrows. Hair between the two eyes, sometimes some women will be having their eyebrow connected. She can remove the place between the two eyebrows because this is not meant to be a place where hair should be in the face. Any hair in the face that belongs to men, such as mustache or beard, is obligation to remove from the women. If the eyebrow grew over the normal, then can be fixed. How to be fixed? Not actually to pluck it, but can be trimmed from the length only. Can we change the color of the eyebrow? Some people, they actually, what do they call it? Like they what? They bleach it or do something, they change the color. Is it bleaching? Is bleaching permanent? They have to do it regularly so it comes back. So this type of coloring the eyebrow to make it thin, they actually did not remove the hair of the eyebrow. That's acceptable because that's not permanent. But to make a permanent change of the color of the eyebrow is not acceptable. Or removing any of the part of the eyebrow is not acceptable. Can we use food to put on the face for treatment? Some people put cucumber, honey, milk, all of this. These food are meant for food. It should not be wasted for something that is not relevant, like, for example, the treatment of the face. Peels, you are going to throw them in the bin, that's fine. Unless it's food complement. So it's not an actual food that is eaten. Like some salt, you put salt on some stuff to make something for the face, that's fine. Or unused like peels or something. Whitening of the skin is permissible as it's not permanent. Some people, they put some whitening to become whiter. That's fine because it's going to come back. Skin tightening operations, some people, when they start having wrinkles, they go to some operations to stretch the skin. That's not acceptable because there is lots of harm as consequence of this. Enlarging part of the body, I will just mention the example of the lips, and you know the other types of enlarging parts that's unacceptable in Islam, because this is changing the shape of that part of the body. Some people, they flip their lips, or some people, they inject whatever in their lips to become larger. All of this is prohibited, or enlarging any other part of the body is prohibited. And changing the nose shape, she doesn't like the shape of nose, is not permissible, as this is all changing impermanently the shape of the body. So any change, any permanent change of the shape of the body is not permissible in Islam. Of course, operations for medical need, then that's permissible. Whitening of the teeth is acceptable, because the teeth are actually supposed to be white, and usually with time the teeth can change their color and go back to normal color. Grinding the teeth, some people grind, yes.
What are your views on anti-wrinkle cream?
Anti-wrinkle cream is not a problem, because after that the wrinkles will come back. So no problems. No matter how much you put creams, at the end you will have the wrinkles. So they will not be able to change anything from the creation of Allah. And these are normal things. And even the wives of the Prophet ﷺ used to put some stuff to hide it, to color it. So grinding the teeth to make some gaps between it. Previously, at the early times, this used to be a beauty sign that the teeth are having gaps. So that's the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. Those who grind the teeth and make gaps between the teeth are cursed as well. Fake lashes are not permissible. So fake lashes are not permissible in Islam. It's exactly like connecting the hair with the hair. And we are going to speak about the hair in maybe a minute or two. So we can, the fake lashes or the additional lashes should not be put. Even if it's a one day. No permissible at all. Yeah.
But it's not permanent.
Even if it's not permanent. Because adding a hair to your hair is not permanent. And that being cursed by Allah, by the Prophet ﷺ. So Allah curses the woman that connects the hair with the hair. What is the wisdom? I'm going to just make it fast. The wisdom is that the hair will appear longer and larger than its norm. And the eyebrows, the eyelashes is the same. The eyelashes will appear longer than its norm. So that's why they applied this on that. That's qiyas. So we will come to the wigs. Can a woman shave her head fully? There is no evidence that it is allowed or not allowed. But the wives of the Prophet ﷺ used to shave their head to give up from men. So after the death of the Prophet ﷺ, the wives of the Prophet ﷺ shaved their head as a sign of they are not interested in men, because the Prophet ﷺ, their husband, passed away and they will not marry anyone. And that happened with the wives of the Prophet ﷺ. It's not permissible in Islam to shave the head out of a catastrophe or tribulation. Some woman her son passed away, she shaved her head. That's haram. But shaving the head out of modesty, to show that I am no longer interested in men, I will just spend my life worshipping Allah Azza wa Jal and not beautifying myself. I just have no concern about my beauty. I just want to worship Allah and meet Allah like this. This is not an issue. Any haircut, hairstyle that beautifies the woman is permissible. So there is no prohibition in any hairstyle for the woman. Tanning of the skin. Some people, they tan their skin and they become darker a little bit, and they do it. They say it's permanent, but it's not permanent. After a couple of months, it goes back into normal. That tanning is not permanent, so it is permissible. Anything. So the criteria is how permanent is that change of the creation of Allah? Does it need to be all the same length? Anything. For the hairstyle, you can do anything you want. Women can't cut hair to the level to be like men. So the boy cut, do they call it the boy cut or what? Whatever. Some women, they cut their hair exactly like the men. That's prohibited. Because that's men type of cut, that cannot be. Any hairstyle is permissible in Islam. It's not permissible to put a dye that is black. So dye the hair. You can dye the hair anything apart from black, as the Prophet ﷺ ordered Abu Bakr as-Siddiq when he brought his father with his head all white hair. He said, dye it, but avoid the black. So that hadith applied on all people, so they can actually dye their hair with any color, but avoid the black. But there is a condition for the color. We'll speak about it. Putting dye on some of the hair and leaving the rest is permissible as well. Sometimes they put dye on the edges or whatever. That's all permissible. That's because this is as well is just temporary and it's going to be changing. It's not permissible to connect hair with hair, and whoever does that is being cursed. How is it? Usually they bring the hair from the same color or whatever and connect it to the hair to show that the hair is longer, is thicker, is larger. That is the condition of impermissibility of connecting the hair with the hair. Some girls, they bring some ties with different colors, connect them to their hair. That's permissible because that is obvious, it's not their hair. This is something different. So the whole prohibition is coming from the hadith that connecting the hair with the hair, meaning that they are bringing hair similar to the hair, and so the hair appears bigger and thicker, so more beautiful. That's the curse coming from. For health purpose, people can implement hair. So if, for example, a woman for some reason, she lost her hair, she can implant the hair. No excuse for connecting the hair with the hair. Someone will say, oh, it's a medical issue. There is no medical issue, no excuse with the connecting. You can implant the hair, but you cannot connect the hair with the hair. Putting additional material with different color or characteristic is permissible. As we said, some things like they look like a hair, but they are not a hair, and they are different colors and connected to the head. That's permissible. The only reason to prohibit to connect with the same type and color, which will appear big than the origin. Wigs are of difference of opinion. Some scholars, they said wigs is not connecting because you are not connecting a hair with a hair. You are putting something on top of the head. And even those who are making the wigs as permissible, they as well say it's permissible when you are making wudu to wipe on the wig. So that's something that is there for the women to bear in mind. Prohibition of the hairstyle. The only prohibited hairstyle is the double camel hump. The Prophet ﷺ said about the women, as we spoke in the hadith, their heads are like the camel hump. Some people, they think that what sort, the Prophet ﷺ mentioned al-bukht, كأسنمة البخت. Al-bukht is a type of camel that has two humps. It's not the normal camel. So that's why some people, they say, well, those women that put their hair, gather their hair and put it in the back like this, that's what is meant by the hadith. No, that's one hump. The Prophet ﷺ mentioned it's the bukht, and the bukht has two humps. So those who have something like this, with the style, and this is the prohibited. So if you have two humps, according to the hadith, that's the prohibited type of hairstyle that is under the scarf, for example. Unfortunately, some people, they say, okay, to put a cup here, that's what is mentioned in the Quran, that is prohibited. No, that's not, because that's one. And the Prophet ﷺ mentioned the two humps, not the one hump. So that's where we need to understand the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ precisely. If a woman put a cup in the bag for her hair, so she put the hair inside, put a cup, and then wear the hijab, then that's permissible. There is no harm with that. But none of you will do it. Dye of the hair should only be from human color. You cannot bring color that is not actually from the normal human hair color. So someone bring a purple color and then dye their hair with purple color. Some scholars, they say that this is not permanent and you can do it. But actually it's not the normal human color. The normal human color all the way from white to blonde to dark, light brown, dark brown, whatever. You can take all of these colors and dye, but for beauty. But the abnormal hair color, which is the purple, the whatever, this is, I'm not sure how people actually want to dye their hair like this. Nails. Can women lengthen their nails? It's from the fitrah to cut the fingernails. It's not proper for many reasons to lengthen the nails, because they will become sharp, they might harm, and they will gather germs underneath them. Is there any direct evidence that they cannot lengthen their nails? No direct evidence. It's only the fitrah, and the fitrah is liked. So, can we say to a woman, haram to lengthen your fingernails? We cannot say, because there is no evidence. The evidence is a hadith in Sunan al-Fitrah to cut your fingernail every 40 days maximum. Whatever the Prophet ﷺ mentioned, that is Sunan al-Fitrah. That is Sunnah. Liked, but we cannot say that it is prohibited to lengthen. Nail polish is permissible in general. Some women want to put some color, no problems, so long as if there is a time for wudu or ghusl, this is need to be removed. And it's sometimes nowadays they have some new fingernails that are actually not preventing the water from reaching the fingernails. If that type of, it's like the henna. The henna actually colors the fingernail. The henna is okay for wudu. So if they created a type of nail polish exactly like the henna, and they are coloring the fingernails with that, which is not going to prevent the water from coming to the fingernail, then that's fine. Women can remove the body hair from anywhere in their body. If the husband asks the wife to remove the body hair of the body, then it becomes obligated. Tattoo. Of course, permanent tattoo is prohibited in Islam. It's not permissible, but if it disappears, then it is permissible. Some tattoos, they disappear with time. The actual tattoo is the tattoo where they inject the colors under the skin. This is haram, and this is being cast. But some people, they try to put some stickers or whatever, or do some henna like a tattoo. That's fine, because it's going to disappear. So it's not permanent. Can women wear accessories? Of course they can, and that might be part of what they appear from them. Sometimes they wear accessories from animal remains, like teeth or part of a horn or something. Well, all of this is acceptable so long as it does not accompany a belief. Some women, for example, they wear a sort of any accessory and they believe this will prevent envy from me. So I'm wearing it because it's preventing envy from me. That's haram. But any accessory can be worn so long as it has nothing to be connected to any aqidah issue that we believe that this will benefit us, then that is not prohibited. And I think I covered what I wanted to cover from all the accessories to the hijab, to the clothing, to the makeup, to the to the hair and to the body. So, any question?
With the hair extension, so long as it's not the same color as the hair.
If it is not the same color as the hair that is used, no problems.
But if it is,
If it is the same color, it's prohibited. There is another hairstyle nowadays that we see, which is the men and the women the same. They have their hair long and they burn it like spiral. You have seen it? It appears like a wool appearance. This is actually their own hair, but they burn it in a spiral way. This is allowed because this is going to be removed. You cannot get rid of it except by cutting. And so, because it's not permanent, then that's fine and can be done.
there's this thing they call Botox for wrinkles. I think it lasts maybe 3 months, 2 or 3 months.
And then it disappears.
Yeah.
Anything that is not permanent is not a problem. Yes?
How about the use of laser for hair removal?
For hair removal of the body, yes, of course, no problem. Yeah, so long as there is no harm, you can remove the hair of the body by any means. Removing the freckles, you can remove them if you want. Any question? So again, just in a summary, from the changing of the body, anything that is permanent is not permissible. Removing the hair of the body for the women is permissible from any place except in the eyebrow, non-touchable. It should not be touched because Allah created the eyebrow in a way that it will never grow. It will stay as it is for the whole life. Makeup, summary, women can put makeup and it's permissible to put makeup. But if men looked at them while they are putting makeup, then there is a sin. So, women, they will not avoid that if they put the makeup and go in the street. So they should avoid putting the makeup and going in the street based on that, because the men are going to be sinning all the time. They are looking at hair. Okay? There's no hadith that says that women cannot put makeup, because at the time of the Prophet ﷺ, they used to put the eyeliner and they to put some henna in their hands, and that's their beauty makeup at that time. Now the makeup is different. It's not anymore only eyeliner, and henna is different types of makeup. So this is, in summary, what we have spoken about in regards to the cosmetics, the hijab, the makeup, all of the other stuff, hairstyles, and so on. Any question? All good? جزاكم الله خير. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك.